if you don't have clearly defined title legal access, or it just doesn't exist, your title insurance policy will reflect that, your title report will reflect that, and then a bank will see that, and then that will be a red flag for them. An extremely important consideration when buying property is, what is your legal access? How do I get to it? And there is 4 basically ways that you would access property. And so I'm going to go through and show you some examples of what they look like and describe what they are. So when you are purchasing property, you can understand which one you are using, and you can ask additional questions and do additional research and due diligence if necessary, if you're not sure exactly what your legal access is. So I got some visuals here. We'll bring in the slides. And so the first thing is, legal access is extremely important because, one, it gives you legal access to the property, but it affects your title insurance and your ability to get financing. So a bank is not going to loan on a property that doesn't have clearly defined legal access. And so you want to make sure in the process that you understand what that is and it's clear in a deed, because that's one of the things that is going to be noted in title insurance. If you don't have clearly defined title legal access, or it just doesn't exist, your title insurance policy will reflect that, your title report will reflect that, and then a bank will see that, and then that will be a red flag for them. So you want to make sure you understand what this is.
If you're looking to relocate here on the Big Island, I want to share with you a resource that we put together. Over 80 agents from my team, expert agents here on the Big Island, put together a relocation guide that will help you evaluate all of the important factors that you want to take into account before you move here to the Big Island. School districts, healthcare, employment, all of the things that you got to think about, we put into one home buyer's guide that will help you figure out what is best when you start this relocation process here to the Big Island. So if you want this guide, just click on the link below, fill out the form. We will send you the guide for free. And if you want to take the next steps and have a conversation with us, we'd be happy to help.
And what the types of legal access are, because they do vary. So the 4 types are just a public road, public access. The other one is a private road. So something that maybe jointly people access or that you have access to. I'll show you what this looks like. And then a flag lot or an easement. And so I have examples on a map to show you all of these and give you an idea, because you can kind of tell from a plat map, or when you get a survey done, you'll be able to see what kind of access you have. So the first one is, this is just an example map, but it has a good description of different types of legal access. So the first one is a public road. Pretty straightforward, right? A public road. All of these properties would access this property from this public road that goes through here. It's what we're most familiar with and we see all the time, is just a public road and getting access that way. The second one is at a flag lot. So if you look at this property right here, it has this long skinny flagpole, and that's why it's called a flag lot, because you got the flagpole and the flag up here. And what this does is it gives you a skinny strip of land that goes down and touches a private road, which gives you legal access to where the house would most likely be built out here. So this is a flag lot. Very, very common. You'll see this in subdivisions, dense subdivisions, where you own a strip of land where your driveway is, and then it opens up to where your home actually is behind maybe some other lots. So flag lot is very, very common. The next one is, if you see this red block here, this is actually a shared road. So if you see there's public roads here, and then this shared road, in many cases, they vary in terms of how they're used, but in many cases, all of these lots, these 5 lots surrounding it, would use this shared road, this shared private road, to access their property. And in many cases, they're going to all own like a 1/5 share, like a 20% share in this road. It's a separate actual entity. It's a separate TMK, tax map key lot, and they would all share it and jointly maintain it. A lot of times there's going to be a shared road agreement where it says, like, if it needs to be repaved or repaired, all of the owners that benefit from it are responsible for their share, their 20%, or sometimes in really large subdivisions, they own like 0.0001%. Everybody owns a little tiny piece of the whole entire roadway in large subdivisions like Ocean View, for example, Hawaiian Ocean View Estates. So those are 3 common ways that are pretty straightforward and have defined ownership of a piece of property benefiting another piece of property. And then the other one is an easement. So easements are commonly misunderstood on how they work, but an easement is a legal right for a property to go over another property to access it. For access purposes is normally the case. A lot of times a utility company will have a utility easement where they can access the property to put water lines or power lines through it. But you'll see on this plat map here, there's this dotted line that kind of snakes through here, and that is an easement. So what it's telling you is, and you would find this out in the legal description on the title report, exactly who benefits from the easement. So you can't really tell that from the map. You can see the depiction on the map where it is, but this easement, the legal description of this easement would probably say that this lot down here, lot 85 and lot 84, have the ability to cross over lots 86 and 87, and looks like 87 is a flag lot, right? So 87 goes out here and is a flag that touches the public roadway out here. So it would basically benefit 86 and 85 and 84 to go over these other properties in order to access their property. And this is absolutely legal access. It will run with the land. There will be some specificity as to who is responsible for maintenance and upkeep of the easement if it's like a paved road, and that is all drawn out and made clear in the easement documents, which are recorded on all of the deeds of the properties that it affects, either the ones that you can drive over or the ones that it benefits. So again, this is something that you'd want to seek some legal advice if you had any specific questions about what an easement does and how it affects you negatively or positively. But you want to make sure you're thinking about that and reviewing that in the property buying process, because easements are very common, and sometimes there's people misunderstand what an easement does or where an easement is, and that's a really important part of the property buying purchase, which is a separate video about stakings and surveys. But you will want to get a survey done to see exactly on the ground where the easement exists, because sometimes Hawaii style, we say, hey, here's the easement and there's a road there, but actually the legal description is somewhere else, either 10 feet to the right or left, or maybe in a completely different area, and it's just whatever was historically used was believed to be an easement, but it's not the actual legal easement, which is described on the deed and the title report. So all things to be conscious of. There's all kinds of variations here, and again, you want to have a professional helping you through this process and understanding like what needs a little bit more review, maybe what we got to get an attorney to look at, where we should get a survey in more detail. We could probably do that from a large scale review, but you really want to dig in when there's something that is weird or you're not sure about. And so super important to not just wing it, but get a professional involved. We can help with this. I've seen hundreds and thousands of title reports and easement documents and survey documents and all of these things over the years, so it can definitely help. If you have any questions, reach out, Dylan@buybigisland.com, or there is a link in the description below to my calendar. You can always just book a meeting and we can meet online through Google Meets. If you have any questions, you just put them in the comments, but always just reach out. Please like the video and subscribe. Every week we'll be sending out new information like this about buying real estate in Hawaii. Appreciate you watching. See you next week. Aloha.